Hello crafty friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be unboxing the Get Yeti January 2025 card kit by Simon Stamp and creating 5 different card projects using the pattern papers that are provided in the kit. Well, I will do a quick unboxing and then we can dive into our card projects. Usually I would just create one card per video, but since we are almost towards the end of Jan, I wanted to share as many possible cards as I could using the contents in this beautiful kit. I decided to create 5 cards and show you how I use up the pattern papers in my card kit. These are really easy cards to put together. The best part about using contents of a card kit are that all of the contents coordinate with each other. So there's very little that you would need from your crafty stash, which may be like, say, colors or a couple of other dyes. Before we get started, I would really appreciate if you could take a minute to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Before we start creating, let us first take a look at the Get Yeti card kit. Well, I can't believe we are already at 2025 and I'm here unboxing the first card kit of the year. Now, this card kit consists of a very adorable stamp set, an embossing folder. We have a little coordinating die, some beautiful pattern papers, which I will be using to create our card projects today, and not one, not two, but 5 sheets of cardstocks. Let us first take a look at this beautiful 6x8 stamp set. This is the Get Yeti stamp. Now, this one is perfect if you want to create beautiful wintry scenes featuring everyone's favorite mythical snow loving friend, our little Yeti. The stamp includes 2 cheerful Yeti images. We have a snowman, we have mountains, trees, a little cupcakes, cozy hot beverages, and some winter accessories and balloons, which would be perfect to create beautiful scenes on your card front. These would be ideal for your winter themed or holiday themed card projects. We also have a bunch of beautiful sentiments on this. We have happy birthday, there's nobody like you, get Yeti to celebrate your birthday, and so on. Now, the kit includes a small die set, which is the Get Yeti, and the balloon die set, which cuts out this little Yeti figure that is on the stamp. You can also find coordinating dies, which well is not part of the card kit but can be bought separately. Next, we have the Illuminated Jack's embossing folder. This is a beautiful 3D embossing folder which will add a very playful and symmetrical pattern to your card panels. This has repeating images of the jacks from the classic game of jacks, featuring a starburst-like shape. Well, you could consider this also like snowflake patterns, which is what I will be using it for to create our winter themed card projects. I think this pattern would be perfect for blackout techniques as well. We also have a little Doodlebug Yeti sticker. All you have to do is peel out this little Yeti and stick it on your card projects. Well, it also says that this is dishwasher safe, so I'm assuming you could also add these on your coffee mugs or tumblers. I usually add these on my laptop. How would you add these stickers? Well, included in the kit is a little action wobble which you can use to pop up your little focal point images on your card front. Next, we have a sheet of the Simon Says Stamp Everyday Easy Sentiment Strips. These are the everyday sentiments that you could use on your card projects, which include "You're the best," "Thank you," "Happy birthday," "Here for you," "Love you," "Miss you." Well, Simon Says Stamp has coordinating dies for these easy sentiment strips. It's not part of the kit but can be bought separately. This makes my work so much more easier. Let's take a look at the pattern papers that are included in the kit. We have 12 double-sided sheets of Photoplay Yeti for Winter 6x6-inch pattern papers. Now that we have 2 sheets of each of those patterns, we don't have to sacrifice all of those beautiful images on the other side of the paper. These papers include adorable Yeti characters and playful symbols. All of these are in a cool wintry color scheme of blue, white, cream, and reds. The images include mountains, snowflakes, whimsical spirals, trees, hot cocoa, sleds, and Yetis, which perfectly coordinate with the images in the Get Yeti stamp set. I had so much fun using these pattern papers to create all of our cards today. Also included in the card kit is an A2 size envelope by Simon Says Stamp. This looks like it's in the navy blue color. For the cardstocks that are available in the kit, we have a beautiful red color cardstock and a light blue shade of cardstock. We also have two sheets of the Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock and a beautiful holographic, the silver holographic lava cardstock, again by Simon System. That was all the contents in the Simon System January 2025 Get Yeti card kit. Now let's take a look at the cards that we will be creating using the contents of the kit. Off camera, I stamped all of these images from the Get Yeti stamp set onto Nina Solar White cardstock using my Memento black ink, and that's because I planned on using my alcohol markers to color all of these images. Once I stamped the images, I used the Brothers Canon cut machine to cut out all of these images since I didn't have the coordinating dies with me. And then I colored them using my Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers. Now, if you see the Yeti here, he has a small little slit in his hands that was created by the die that was part of the kit. You could add any of those little images in between his hands. You could add the little coffee mug, the cupcake, little ball, balloon, or any of those tiny little images that we've stamped. I like to store all of these colored images in a container that is easily accessible when I need to create my focal point for the card front. For card number one, I will be using this pattern paper which has the Yeti image that says stay cool. I will also be cutting out the strip which says you are snow awesome, and that'll be the sentiment on our card front. I cut out all the elements, and before adhering them onto an A2 size card panel, I decided to add the beautiful embossed pattern using the Illuminated Jack's embossing folder on my white panel. I love the texture that this embossing folder gives to my card panels. Well, using some foam tape, I adhered the main focal point onto the embossed panel. I cut the sentiment strip that says, "You are snow awesome," so that I could fit it perfectly onto our card front. Using some liquid glue, I adhered these sentiments over the focal point image. We could then add this entire panel onto a top folding A2 size card base, and we could call this card done. Now, with all that texture and bump on the embossed panel, I would suggest using a strong liquid glue or some strong foam tape or double-sided tape to adhere this panel onto your card base. Now that was card number one for you guys. All I did here was cut out pieces of the pattern paper to create a beautiful card front. How easy and quick was that to create? Moving on to card number two, I will be using this beautiful, very light blue colored pattern paper with tiny snow-like markings on it. I cut a panel to be 4 by 5 and quarter, which is slightly smaller than an A2 size card base, and then I sandwiched this paper between my embossing folder and then ran it through my die cut machine. I love the texture on this card, especially with that little white snowflake splatters all over the panel. Now I wanted to create a snowbank effect so that I could add the little Yeti riding down the sled, which would be the focal point of this card. I used a white sheet of cardstock and used the hills die by Cat Scrappiness to create my hill. Well, this die cut gave me two hills, so I will be creating two cards simultaneously. I adhered one of those hills to my embossed background panel, and while the glue dried, I started to work on my third card, which again was very simple to assemble. For this card, I have this gorgeous pattern paper with the little trees and wintertime etched on it. I placed my hill slope and cut the entire panel to be 4 by 5 and quarter inches. I placed my focal point, which is this Yeti, which would be on the left hand corner of this card panel. I thought that I would turn this into a birthday card using the Get Yeti to celebrate your birthday sentiment. Well, I thought instead of adding the balloons or coffee mug or any other accessory, it would be fun to add a tree between his hands that would be perfect as a birthday present. I then stamped the sentiment using VersaFine Onyx Black ink directly onto the snowbank, and then for the focal point, I added some foam tape, and well, with that, we can call this card done. Do note that since I had colored all of these images beforehand, it was really easy to create these card projects in very little time. If I were to create these cards individually and color and stamp those images one by one, it would have definitely taken me forever, and that would definitely be one card per video project. Moving back to our second card, now that the hill was completely dry, I went ahead and first stamped the sentiment which says, "Get a Yeti for a great day," using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which I thought matched perfectly with the Yeti sledding down the hill slope. And for this focal point, I used foam tape to pop him up. I also added little snowballs as accessories near my sentiment using some liquid glue. If you'd like to see me coloring all of these little images in real time, I will be uploading a video soon which will be part of the real time coloring series. Don't forget to check that out. I will leave a link to that series in the description box below. Moving on to card number 4, I wanted to create a little framed background. I started off with this beautiful plaid pattern paper, and here instead of using the Yetis, I decided to use the little snowmen. Well, again, we will be creating a snowbank for our little frame scene. I used the frame die again by Cat Scrappiness to create my frame. Before adhering the snowman onto the card front, I stamped the sentiment which says, "There's nobody like you," onto the snowbank. Well, this card would be perfect for your friends or your buddies for this Valentine's. I then matted this frame onto the same light blue colored pattern paper before adhering it onto an A2 size card base. Well, that's the advantage of having two sheets of the same pattern paper. You're able to use it on two different card projects. I adhered the little snowman using some liquid glue. You could also use some foam tape to pop them up. I also added a little heart in between my snowmen. This is also part of the Get Yeti stamp set, which I stamped and cut using my brother's Canon cut. And I adhered it between the snowmen using liquid glue. And well, here's a look at the finished card. I definitely love how this card turned out, and I like the frame that the frame die gave to this card front. From the light blues and creams, let's move on to something bright and create our fifth and final card. This card includes layering up of pattern papers with a beautiful Yeti focal point and sentiment strip from the Simon Says stamp Everyday Easy Sentiment Strips. I started by cutting out a frame using the Cat Scrappiness frame die, which would be the base for my focal point. Now these are nested frame dies, so I took the next larger frame and die cut using a white piece of cardstock. This white panel will tone down all of that bright red from our card front. I use the Illuminated Jack's Embossing folder on my white panel to add some texture. Now all we have to do is layer all of these pieces together to create a beautiful card front. I cut the red pattern paper which has the coffee mugs on it to be 5 by 4 1/4, which is slightly smaller than an A2 size card base. Next, I adhered the embossed white panel onto this red sheet of pattern paper. My third layer is this beautiful striped pattern paper which reminds me of candy canes but with a hint of blue. I adhered this using some foam tape for an extra dimension. Now that all of my panels are adhered over one another, I will place my focal point, which is this cute and adorable little Yeti, towards the top of the striped panel. Now this is the die cut Yeti which has a slit in his hand. I will place a little heart between his hands. For my sentiment, I'm using the You Have a Kind Heart sentiment strip, which I die cut using the coordinating die from the Everyday Easy sentiment strip. I thought it would match perfectly with the heart in our Yeti's hand. I love to have such sets where one sheet of sentiments has so many different varieties of sentiments that I can use on my card fronts. Well, I matted the sentiment strip over a piece of black cardstock before placing it onto the panel. I also thought that the sentiment strip was way too white for this beautiful color on our background, so I used my red ink blending brush and lightly blended over the strip without adding any extra color to it. Here's a look at the finished card. I love how beautiful it turned out and how easy it was to create. All we did was layered a beautiful pattern paper and added a focal point and a little sentiment strip, and we could call this card done. Well, let us now take a closer look at all the 5 cards that we created today. I love how beautiful and unique all of these cards look. Even though I have used the same set of pattern papers on and the same stamp set for all my focal points, All of these cards definitely look different and, well, so versatile. The coordinating sentiments for each of these cards are absolutely perfect. This could definitely be given as a pack of cards or maybe a set of cards to your loved ones as a gift. From simple layering up of pattern papers to beautiful embossed backgrounds, simple colored focal points, and beautiful coordinating sentiments. I love the variety of contents that are part of this January 2025 Get Yeti Cut Kit by Simon System. Well, I had so much fun creating all of these card projects, and I hope you had fun watching the video. All the supplies that I used in today's video will be linked down in the description box below. Note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Well, I'm not sure if the January kit is still available, but all of the products are sold separately. So I'll be linking each of the products, not just what I used to create these cards, but also every content that was available in the kit. You can find the links down in the description box and also on my blog post. I will be back with another video, which will be part of the real-time coloring series where I show you how I colored all of these beautiful Yeti and snowman images. Stay tuned for that. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.